start with a very basic concept of a vector. So if you have a vector, so and the vector, it has a value, let's say a, and a direction. So how do you define a direction? You have to uh, initialize the coordinate system. So for that, what we will do, we define a coordinate system like that. Suppose the x as a y. For simplicity, we take in the origin as the initial point of this vector. So now we have a value of this vector, what we call a, and it has a direction. So how do you define the direction? So for that, we have this two-dimensional coordinate system. Along x, if it is O x unit, and from this point, if it is go along y distance, then if we multiply this with the unit vector, explicitly the term multiplication is not accurate, but for the simplicity we are using this. If I multiply this quantity with the unit vector of this direction, so first you have to go x unit along, what we say I is the unit vector along x. Then we have to go to y unit along the direction of y. The unit vector we say is a j. So this is the a, and it has the direction, so we put arrow on top of that. So it has a value. These are the value, and it has a direction. These are the direction. So how we can calculate the value? Only value is, we call mod of a equals to square root of x square plus y square. If you think like a triangle, and it's a right angle triangle, so this square and this square will be this square. So this is the value of the square, only the value. Now how we can define the direction? Absolutely simple. We can define the direction by theta. This is the angle. We have to define, if we go theta direction of x-axis, so we can define the direction also. So it's very simple. It's called tan inverse y by x. So we can have the direction with respect to x axis, and also the value. This is a simple thing of a two-dimensional vector. Now the question is that how we can define something emerging, like a light or something from some water from pipe. Right? How we can define this? So for that, the vector, if you picturize, will be like that. Like a source, and something emerging from the source. in all the direction. Again, for simplicity, I'm talking about in all the direction, but it not should be always the all the direction. It could be only along this direction, and there is nothing. Well, so in that case, we call it divergence. So how do we define the divergence? Simply by of that vector. If this is equals to 0, there is no divergence. That means it is simple vector. If it is positive, then there is a positive divergence. The arrow will be from a point source or maybe source towards the infinity. And if it is negative, then from the infinity to a source.